Good morning, everyone. Give me a sec here. Yeah, so a lot of news coming out, things affecting the markets. As we all know, they've been strong. S&Ps we're looking at here up a little bit. They kind of backed off on that housing start news. But, as they're getting closer to this resistance area there, yes, it'll become more difficult. But hey, nonetheless, looking at this chart yesterday, we've got what I'll just refer to as a minor correction bar, which supports prices could go higher. Now, it would be a lot more convincing if I saw it on SPY or SPX, but we'll take a look at that. So, what's a correction bar? It's a bar like that, and it's got a bottoming tail bar that breaks under a prior bar's low. Sometimes it's two bars, and it closes near the high. So, yesterday, things started out kind of shaky, and it looked like they were going to roll over. They were starting to roll over, and then the Russell I should say, and then interest rates started to fall, and that was something the market's been focused on. So anyway, that helped, and things turned around, and we got this correction bar, and as you can see, prices are trading above it for now. And again, we're looking at the S&P futures. We have to look at SPX and such, but it's got room to move up. And as we look at this and say, hey, is the next whole number a target that aligned up with that resistance area there? It's a little back off as we speak. And again, we got more news coming in a little while. All right, we got this consumer sentiment at 10 o'clock and inflation expectations at 10 o'clock. I'll keep that in mind. Let's see if we have any agreement between other markets. So this is more or less, we'd say, has reached its destination, and it does is not really a correction bar. I mean, it did trade under the low, but it didn't close near the highs. In other words, it's not so convincing nonetheless. All right, we see it's stalled here. That's a stall bar. All right, the small candle body, momentum slowed. So the question is, can it trade above that day's high? Will it trade below that day's low? Right now, it's in the middle of the range. Nothing much going on here for the moment. We'll see how that plays out. This hourly is kind of, back to an uptrend. It popped up there. You see yesterday it was like, it was going to roll over, and then it didn't. Right? Let's look at the cues for a minute. And so we've got the data there. And here was yesterday morning. It was flip-flopping, 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 and it looked like it was going to take a little dive. And then if you look at the 10-year, it started trending down, and it just took off from there. And so now we got to kind of wait and see, I guess, for the 10 o'clock number or whatever it's going to do. Uh, where are they here? Closing. It's up near yesterday's high. So not much going on. Really, since day before yesterday, not much going on, which is, building up a little support resistance area, as you can see there on the 65 minute. And on a short term basis, you know, will it break those lows? Does it break out and continue to go higher? Breaking those lows would be a little more bearish, even though, this is trending up. There is this unfilled gap. And but breaking below two bars lows, common sense says that's a little more bearish than breaking below one bar's low. And then, of course, breaking below a bar's low, does it close down there? And so I'll just go back here for a second and say, well, it broke below yesterday's low, and but it formed a little bottoming tail bar, correction bar. Right? Well, there's a correction bar. There's a bigger one right there. So these correction bars, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming MT Live soon, you won't want to miss that. They're really powerful bars. Sometimes I refer to them as money bars. A little more marketing value in that, but they work. So anyway, transport's not doing much of anything, marking time. So the Dow, right, that had gapped down and it came back, pseudo kind of correction bar. Looked like it was going to come down to fill the gap. It didn't. So buyers continue to step up. And before I get to the other stuff, you can just see the 10-year here. Yesterday it was higher and then it just started coming down. And now it's down this morning. Markets aren't up much. So this is a big plus, but it's in this trading range. Right? Well, there's a gap fill there. That's just holding there. So we've got, smaller trading ranges within bigger trading ranges. So whatever's going on, that's the case, meaning even as we look at things like spiders and Qs that are trending up on a short-term basis, we go and look at the weekly chart. It's just a humongous trading range, just wild, meaning the size of the move down and that getting extended, things come back up and now they're coming up into resistance. And so pretty wild ride, you know, the up and down movement. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna take a peek here. Well, you know what? I don't even have to go here, but yesterday a lot of the FANG stocks, most of them started giving back, not in a big deal. I can flip over there for a second. And Amazon pulling back toward the gap fill. Netflix just came back. It was looking like it might roll over and short a little head and shoulders top there, a little minor, but that popped up above the highs. Tesla hanging in there. Walmart, that gap down, and that came back as interest rates started to fall. Uh, Costco's, I'd keep an eye on this. It came back from that dip, which is a plus. And how it deals with this, if it starts going sideways, maybe today, that could be a breakout next week. So keep an eye on that. If you look at financials, they started off strong yesterday, then they got weak, then they came back. So we're starting to get a lot of this, indecision kind of trading here. See Google, you know. So here's what we would call a 1, 2, 3, but it's at resistance, so that's not ideal scenario. Meta, there's some news in that today. I didn't read the whole thing, but anyway, you can see these are Apple's up a little, is down a little, up, and so on. So not too much really going on here this morning. Maybe waiting for that news. Bitcoin's up. That's been consolidating at resistance, not doing much of anything. Oil, not doing much of anything. Consolidating there. Downtrend on the weekly. Silver, not doing much of anything. And gold had a good day yesterday. Yeah, a bottoming tail bar, but that broke down. So it's kind of a, which way is it going to go? Well, the weekly's still in an uptrend. It's got to correct more. Is there inflation? Is there no inflation? What's the tariffs going to do? All the same questions that have been overhanging all year long. SPX, and we will be done here because pretty much everything is the same. There's been great improvements. Many things are getting closer to resistance areas. We already looked at the internals the other day. Sentiment got worse because as long as the markets stay up there and they refuse to go down, the wrong way options traders, and it's not to say they're always wrong way, but 99% of the time they get it wrong when things reach an extreme level. So we use these measurements, and you can see now it's even puncturing through the upper band. This one hasn't yet, but it's in between. It's close enough. Breadth has been deteriorating, not in a big way, still well below zero, but you can see the high point was met here. And that often happens at the beginning of a move where you get, we talked about this really sharp move from zero up, indicating it could go higher. And now we've got a lower high as this is making higher highs. So look, I've been doing this for a long time. right? I guess 30 years or so. And one of the things, there's a lot of things that you experience that add value to your experiences and take you into the future is that market highs happen. They happen a little more slowly. They almost get you to the point where it's like, I can't stand it anymore, right? The way it starts going up. And the internals reach an extreme. And now, after it's going up, it's like, I know it's going to turn. I know it's going to turn. It refuses to turn. And it kind of lures you into being a little more complacency, where it's like, are you stupid to press the button this far from the 20? And for a swing trade, now you could do day trades all year long, regardless of the internals, where they're at until things begin to turn. But I'm just letting you know that, as things continue to move up as historically they do, and I mentioned these things rarely mark the day that it turns, but these things just kind of lure you in. The market lures you in. These things are just factual pieces of information that we follow. Right? But the refusal to give in, the defiance of that demand and those buyers gets to be a bit annoying. Right? And so you start to think, oh, it's never going to happen. The internals are wrong. Well, no, they're not wrong. These are historical measures that I've used for decades. So I know it's coming. And you always say, well, I need price confirmation. Okay, internals, but what are we going to need? We're going to get some nasty red bar. We're going to get some breakout failure. Sometimes it takes a week of chopping, but it's coming. All right, SPX, and I'll hand it over to Dan. So we always look, it's gapping up slightly. It's into that resistance, not a big deal. And so maybe gapping up a little bit. That was yesterday's strike. It got close. And downside wasn't touched. I messed up the lines yesterday. I don't even need the last. Remove that. Just I got to put the open interest back here. The 820. And unless that news at 10 o'clock is like so terrible, it's never going down there today. Hmm. And yeah, they're starting to think 6,000. Why not? Whole number. Maybe it may happen before this is over. So being up here, the news is 10 o'clock. Even if it continues up first thing in the morning, anything possibly, even you got to go 20 wide above 6,000 will be a no brainer. All right. And it's highly unlikely it's going down there. So there you have it. All yours now.
Good morning. Happy Friday, 0 DTE. Be looking for any credit spreads. So I'll go through our checklist as always. The CI here I had on my list from yesterday. Look at, it's a Climo with a nice bottoming tail range expansion, but look at this 65. Look at that beautiful 180 reversal. So it's kind of like an inverse head and shoulder, but this just took off from a 1, 2, 3. But those are beautiful downside shakeout patterns. I was trying to sell a put on it, didn't get filled. So yeah, I heard Greg say 6,000. And that was my target the other day when this gapped up and closed with a little bottoming tail on Monday. I think I said 595 to 600. And, just wants to keep churning up. Yeah, today option expiration day. I read that it's the biggest notional value for a May in history. Um, there's different numbers, but like 2.8 trillion on equities, big numbers. So that should cause some, a little bit of gyrations into the close. Let's look at alarms here. As always, BMG looks fantastic as a 1, 2, 3 from a bottoming pattern. My alarm went off, but I just reset it. Kava, this was an earnings. Well, I got the 85 naked puts. I don't know why my alarm went off. But if it can get over yesterday's high, let's check out a put spread for next week, the 92s, under that little red bar reversal. Bay alarm. We're short the $3 naked puts. They're going to go out at full profit today. But I'm going to watch this for a new trade idea also. We had a beautiful long calls. We bought calls for 35 cents. And sold the last third right at the high on Wednesday. BF.B. Inverse head and shoulder / bottoming pattern, closing breakout. You can buy that over the high. I don't know why, but in TOS, because I was thinking of buying it pre-market. They're not showing me any bid and offer on TOS for some reason. QUBT alarm. That was earnings, I think. Yeah, earnings. And this is a continuation pattern. So I think we're doing that next Wednesday, talking about correction bars and continuation patterns. So this was a big breakout. And it's far from the 20, but now it's correcting. So that's our correction pattern. And now now the gap's messing it up. We got to wait for a pullback. But on all these similar type quantum stocks, they're making nice turns on the weekly and monthly also. We are in RIGT, one of the cousins, another 1, 2, 3. There's actually a Bear Island reversal on earnings, but to support, so there was no reason to short it. Came storming back. And that looks great. See again, weekly, monthly. The buy setup on the monthly. So these could be home run entries. Stop under Wednesday's low, but we're in them. XBI alarm. We have a call spread, but with break even stop. And Rocket Lab. We bought calls yesterday. Another igniting breakout after a downside shakeout. And I gave a target for half if you do have half, and we tried doing a put spread, did not get filled, unfortunately. All right, I see on today's here. On GE for intraday on today's. It ain't my style. I mean, it's up 100 days in a row and it's had a big move. Not saying it can't go higher, but it's on borrowed time. I'd much rather something coming out of a consolidation. Jose, what do you mean? What do you mean? Any word about UNH? That's not a that's not a that's a descriptive question. What are you asking? Alex and I don't know if any others in the green room, we nailed this thing yesterday, selling the 210 puts that expired today. We took our money though into the close. Um, for this, look at that volume. Now, I mentioned the volume on Tuesday dwarfed all the others. And then yesterday, it's twice the volume. Look at that, 121 million. And for it to close with a bottoming tail, I don't care what the news is. That's a sign of a short-term bottom. And I was going to sell the 200s for next week also, and they got cut in half so fast. Yes, that's about STZ. Yeah, that's on my list. It got the reason it's gapping up. We actually bought it right here, or maybe earlier. I forget, but we got out break even because it was dead money. But now it's an igniting gap. I have it over here somewhere, and it's one of these stupid things. What I call stupid of these idiot traders trading in the past, where they get news that Buffett or Elliott Management, some big advocate fund is accumulating. Well, guess what, you dipshit? He's been accumulating over the last 3 months. So what on planet Earth is making this gap up? What is it? 3.5%? It's because you can't change stupid. You can't change human behavior. But we trade charts, and that's an igniting breakout now. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that on a pullback. I like it. Yeah, Don, you got to tell us what stock symbol that your son ended up in for his birthday. And you're asking about Ford. We call that a grinder, self-correcting uptrend. I mean, you're just getting on board a moving train. It's strong. It's above all EMAs. If you want to buy yesterday's high, stop yesterday's low, that's fine, but I'd rather find something with more confidence. All right, let's go through these earnings real quick. There's not many of them at all. That's the QBT. Patet, nothing for now. Amen. Down a lot. Oh, it's not a good pattern because it's in the middle of no man's land, and it has room to go up or down. But it's a real company. See what it does for 0 DTE here. Now I got docs here, middle chart. It's just in the category of excessive gap. Yesterday I thought it was gapping at 42 or something. We'll see. 30-minute high wants to if it wants to take out 30-minute high, we'll look at call spread. Oh, this call will get a little wild. Oh, I had an alarm at 102.50. That's why it went off. Space, nice bottoming pattern, nice gap up. I just read the summary, and the amount of loss they had was pretty bad. Like they lost $202.48 a share, something like that. Yeah, Greg, I answered them all. I saw them.
That you logged in.
I answered them all on social media.
Okay, cool.
And T2 here, I sold the 210 puts way down here. It's bullish daily, weekly, monthly. It's gapped against me, but it's recovered. So I'm just bidding a nickel to get out. This one I said yesterday is just has the signs of a pump and dumper. But I got an alarm up here somewhere, 118, whatever. But otherwise, I'm going to ignore it. Flow. That would have been a beautiful short if it opened flat. A bear 1, 2, 3 after a closing breakdown. But now it's gapping down. Maybe you can watch a bounce and sell setup. This one's Sobo is finally cracking here. We'll come back to it. Playboy. Potential bottoming pattern, but it's garbage. And glob, here's another one, the excessive gap, 90. Wow, that one's good. Wow, $43 gap down. That's getting his head chopped off. I don't even know what they do. Glob, Globent, Globent. All right, so those are all the earnings. What else do I got here? Yeah, Google, I said yesterday is a 1, 2, 3 from a bottoming pattern. So that's put spread idea. Live Nations in the news. That was a bottoming pattern. Gap breakout. Um, I think the Department of Justice is going after them for some things, but the chart's not acting bad. EA, my alarm just went off. I was also trying to sell put spread on this yesterday, did not get filled. Libitoric. When it was done, I had in my mind, well, in fact, I put it on Telegram already. When it was up here at 110, I was hoping we could do a call, 0 DTE call spread, but now it's coming in. Gold, I'm having a bad day. Top W. What got this thing ripping over here? Look at that, coming out of a coma at $2. So Alex, I know you don't like trading penny stocks, but we'll trade anything with a compelling pattern. And I guess my entry would have been over that green bar, if anything. But man, that thing's crazy. Charter. Well, there's news here. So Comcast is merging with Cox. That's a sloppy inverse head and shoulder, CMCSA. Let's put that on the list for a put spread. And I don't know about that was wait. Oh yeah, that's Charter. I Man, that was 460 and it's already back down to 430. So that was going to be a call spread idea also. STZ, we talked about Echo Lima had some type of news, bottoming pattern, maybe put spread, CTO. I don't know what the news is. I got filled on that T2 at a nickel right out of the gate. It's got filled again on something. What was that? Echo whiskey alarm, Alex. I just wish it had a continuation bar, but that's bullish. So yeah, I'm out of my T2. All right, for the nickel. Be done with it. Yellow alarm. This thing was moving yesterday, but nothing to do now. Our rig T, our QUBT is ripping. We're in rig T here. Rig T, you could add 30-minute high. That looks good. I got long stock and short puts. A Starbucks low alarm. We have a put spread in that break even stop. All right, market coming in hard though. Wow, particularly the diamonds might have you in. So let's chill here. All right, Dox is bouncing here a little bit. Yeah, that Rick T's moving. Nice move. That looks great. That, like I said, could be the home run entry. All right, Starbucks low alarm. Let me check our prices. Well, unless it's stopped out, then we just take the stop. It was 85.08. So yeah, it stopped out right here. That was 83.78. Put spread. Starbucks, I mean, Starbucks has been a little weird um, on its intraday movements. 83.78. It's 57. And we're in at 60. So made a few pennies. Yeah, my bye-bye alarm went off. Yeah, that'd be a good 30-minute high. I actually had a pre-market order out to try to sell some more $3 puts.